Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Nerdstrodamus. I'm Dr. Pants.
I'm Lambo.
And we're going to talk about Metroid.
Metroid.
We are going to talk about Metroid, but first, we have a guest with us today. Everybody welcome Charles, a.k.a. BigC from the TransMissions podcast.
Hi, everyone. How's everybody doing? Welcome to Nerdstrodamus. I'm not your host.
You're a guest host today. So that works out, but Charles, when I talked with you, you were very, very excited about Metroid coming out, and you were very excited about a new Metroid game.
I don't know how often you guys talk games on the Transformers podcast, of course.
During the podcast, not much. It's usually before and
before
afterwards.
and after.
We'll BS a little. But yeah,
only if there's a Transformers game coming out does it make it on the show.
Yeah, I got to do a video with them about a Transformers video game. It's on Apple Arcade. You should pick it up.
I should pick it up. Yeah. We'll try it out. No.
I don't know that you would enjoy it.
Okay.
It's not your kind of game. No, we're here to talk about Metroid because not only did we get a new Metroid game this year.
We got the new Metroid game that everybody's been waiting for decades.
Okay, this is true, but I was going to say, it's up for Game of the Year.
Amazing.
I think it's got a good chance of winning. I look at the other games and I go, none of the other ones have the old guy vote. You know what I mean?
You need to explain this because you had to explain it to me when you mentioned this.
Oh, like at the Grammys and the Academy Awards, whenever some storied director or music artist finally puts out an album in their crotchety olden day kind of thing, even if it really wasn't a huge commercial success, they'll give them the award to be nice.
I follow that logic, but I don't know that I agree.
No, I mean,
Well, how is Game of the Year a popular vote thing? Can you just go? Is there a website where people can just go and vote?
I don't think it's a popular vote.
Because if it were fan vote, I actually don't think Metroid would win or stand a chance.
Probably not. There's probably more people who digging on the Resident Evil situation.
Well, yeah.
Deathloop was pretty good.
And I'm going to say that Resident Evil would get the fan vote because Metroid did not give us the 10-foot tall vampire lady.
No.
But I mean,
Samus is 6.5 feet tall.
Yeah.
She's tall. She's tall.
The giantess thing going on as well.
Yeah, but not.
No.
Let's just say that Samus has different assets than Lady Dimitrescu, but that's not what we're here to talk about.
That's cool.
We are a family-friendly channel, and we're going to keep it that way. But Charles, what do you think? Because as a Metroid fan, it's exciting to see Metroid up for Game of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not a huge big into award shows in terms of. I mean, of course, it'd be nice to be, I guess, quote unquote, validated as a Metroid fan that Metroid wins Game of the Year. But I don't feel like these awards are really a big impact on either way. I mean, a lot of for a long time, about I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, a lot of magazines would rank Super Metroid as best game of all time, in their list of top 100 games of all time. Super Metroid was usually in the top 10 and even won for a lot of those lists, which I think is it was a hugely influential game. So I of course agree with that sentiment, but I think there's so many different genres of video games. Video games span such a wide range of experiences. I don't think you really even can say what's the best game out of this entire medium. It's very subjective. I mean, of course,
Especially it's been a quiet year.
Yeah,
we've had long stretches of time, and it's been a lot of re-releases and stuff this year.
Absolutely.
We've been waiting for a lot of things, and so I think trying to pick a game out of this year is almost weirdly unfair. I mean, I feel like a lot of the games that came out was this is what the companies could put out. That's what we got.
I mean, but just to say, I mean, we do have a Ratchet and Clank on there. That's always a crowd pleaser. We have Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Deathloop by Arcane Studios. Arcane Studios always gets a lot of buzz. And It Takes Two, even though you had never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Charles, did you ever hear of It Takes Two, the other video game that's up there for Game of the Year?
Yeah, I have seen that. I've seen a lot of buzz around that as a good relationship building game, and I haven't played it myself, but I've seen a lot of positive buzz about it.
And I've watched people play it and the same thing. So I mean, there is a lot of good stuff up there for it. But Anyway,
I think it's got a shot.
Well,
I think it's got a shot.
Well, let's explain to the people why we love Metroid and why they should also if they're not familiar. So, you know, all three of us sitting here, we all like Metroid. Some of us love it more than others. I definitely love it more than you. But
I'm only because I'm new. I'm kind of new.
Right, and
I'm kind of a spring chicken when it comes to the Metroid.
It's true, Charles. I mean, we're going to talk about our experiences with Metroid, so we'll just start with you since you're not on here regularly. You enjoy Metroid. What was your first experience with it?
So I think I'm a few years older than you guys. So I did grow up in the 80s. Like my first console was an Atari 2600. I got that for my 7th birthday. Metroid was not on the Atari 2600, but no. After that, I got a Nintendo. I actually got a Nintendo pretty late, so I had a neighbor who had a Nintendo before me. So an NES, Nintendo Entertainment System, for those who are not familiar. And so I would go over to his house and play a lot of games all the time. And then I got my NES in 1990, so pretty late. But before that, I had played a lot of games on my neighbor's NES, and Metroid was one of those. And yeah, I mean, at the time, back in the 80s, there's no internet, there's no mobile games, there's 3 channels if you don't have cable. So playing those games over and over again was a lot of hours of my childhood. So that's that was the time I put into Metroid, and playing it over and over again, beating it in under, I think, 3 hours to get the super ending where Samus is a girl.
No, in the 80s,
sorry everyone. But yeah, it was just, and it was at the time, it was just one of many great NES games to play. I think I didn't really fall in love with Metroid, the genre, the style, the series, until probably Super Metroid. That was really when I recognized it was really something special. And that was I was in college at the time when Super Metroid came out. And again, I didn't have my own Super NES. Someone in the dorm had a Super NES, and they would let a bunch of us play it all the time. So got to spend hours playing Super Metroid and beat it. And yeah, it was those were my formative Metroid experiences.
Those were the days. Yeah.
Back in my day.
and you know what, Charles? Like it's not too far off for me and you, because actually my first console in the house was an Atari 2600. I had an NES. I had a Super NES. Yeah. So
well before the Super Nintendo came along.
Yeah. So
Adventure was the first Metroidvania, right? Right? No, right? No.
Maybe. I don't know. But so I did...
Raiders of the Lost Ark on the 2600. That was kind of a Metroid.
Yes. I have weird, vague memories of that game.
Yeah, that existed.
Yeah, it did. My first Metroid game that I remember playing was Super Metroid. I remember renting it, but the Super Nintendo came out when I was like 5, and renting Super Metroid when I'm that young, I was playing other people's save files, and I'm like, what am I doing? Where am I going? What is this? I don't understand any of it. So I didn't really get into Metroid with Super Metroid. The first game that really got me into it was Metroid Fusion. And I remember playing it on a Game Boy SP that was set up at a kiosk at Walmart. And I was like, this game's awesome. I need this. And so I got Metroid Fusion. I played it multiple times. I loved it. I then went back, played Super Metroid, loved that. And then I got into the Prime series, and I've been a Metroid fan since. I've played everything that's come out.
Nice. Yeah, for my 8th birthday, I got a copy of Metroid 2 for my Game Boy.
Oh.
Yeah, so I had a copy all the way back then. But then I lost it on the bus. I know, about like a month later. No. Yeah, I know. I remember I was switching cartridges and dropped one on the floor, and I'm like down there looking, and it disappeared.
It did.
I don't know where. Happens. And it was really sad because it was like, but so I had that experience, which is a sadly negative experience. I also rented the game when Super Metroid when I was probably around that same age, and yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, there's very little direction in that game.
Yeah, the first Metroid game I actually finished was Metroid Prime 3. Yeah.
That was one of your first games on your Wii, wasn't it?
No, It was. I think it came out the summer I got my Wii.
Okay.
But yeah, that was fantastic. And then I didn't really finish another Metroid game until this past summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like kept poking you, and I'm like,
Yeah,
come
and I
on,
was like,
play more Metroid. Play more Metroid.
I think I have touched most of them, but I haven't finished all of them. So I've finished Metroid, Super Metroid, Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3, Metroid Fusion, Metroid Zero Mission, and most, of course, recently Metroid Dread. I never played Metroid 2 the Game Boy Metroid 2 back in the day, but I did buy it when it came out on 3DS, and I played it a little bit, but never finished it. But I did finish the Samus Returns. Actually, I have it right here. I got the
oh, that's cool.
Oh, nice.
DS special edition. So it has a reversible skin with the Game Boy, the original Game Boy cover there, and then it also comes with the a CD soundtrack. So yeah,
that's nice. That's nice.
And I tell people never do this, but I bought all the amiibos too. So we were talking before the show. Lambo mentioned that he's like, oh, I don't have any Samus amiibos, and it's like, I have all the Metroid amiibos, but they're sitting at my house and they don't do us any good here. So, but you're not the only one. Don't worry. Oh, but you have the squishy Metroid. I mean, yeah, it's cute.
Is he actually squishy? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's squishy.
That's awesome.
It's soft plastic. Yep. And then I have Zero Suit Samus too. So yeah.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
they are cool. They are cool. They did stuff in Dread. They refilled things, and that was really it.
And the new ones with the Emmy.
Nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
I was gonna say, put that away somewhere. Yeah.
I bought the original because when I originally got the Metroid Samus Returns on the 3DS, there are some unlockables there that you can only unlock with the amiibo, and that's kind of I shouldn't support this practice. That's a bad practice for game companies to do. But I bought the amiibo, and I gave in to Nintendo's extortion. But they're still cool figures, so
Yeah, my only issue is like the only stuff that was unlockable though was through the really hard to find amiibos. Like I've got all the easy to find ones and they don't do anything except refill my missiles, which is great, but that wasn't really
helpful
a problem.
To not have to go to a spot.
It didn't happen that often. I didn't need to refill my missiles. I had a lot of missiles.
They got me again with Metroid Dread. I bought the $90 special edition Metroid Dread with the steel book.
Oh
and the little cards for display, like all the little cards for the games. Dude. It's got all 5 games basically. So
that's
Metroid,
cool.
Metroid 2, Super Metroid, Fusion, and Dread. And then it's got this big art book with like.
See that
Metroid
that
Dread
I would really
concept
enjoy.
art.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
That's cool.
Yeah, and of course, this isn't just Nintendo, but this was announced back in June after they announced it at E3, and then immediately sold. It went up for pre-order for like a minute and immediately sold out everywhere. So at the time I was like, well, they have to put it back up. I mean, they have to know people want this. It'll come back. It never went back up on sale. No. So the day Metroid came out, suddenly the orders for the special edition came back up. So I spent like all day that Friday trying to track one down, and I did. But then I had to wait a week for it to get to me. So I had to wait a week to play it. So.
Charles, we'll go back to you. Why do you like Metroid, and which one's your favorite in the series?
All right. I mean, for me, it's always about the exploration and the just exploring a space, and finding the the right key for the right lock, the way that how things are gated behind the different items you get and everything, and just that puzzle aspect and exploration. Secondarily for me are the boss fights. I really like the the combat in Metroid, and all the Metroid games have have interesting boss fights and interesting design of these monsters and things. And the atmosphere, I think it's a cool atmosphere in Metroid. It's really gives you that feel of being a solitary bounty hunter tracking down the space pirates and everything. So yeah, all those things combined are what keeps bringing me back to Metroid. I think, I mean, it's hard for me to choose, but can I give top two? Because I mean, I know everyone says Super Metroid is the is the pinnacle, the gold standard, and I agree with that. But I also want to give a shout out to Metroid Prime 1. I think that the achievement of that game of bringing the Metroid formula fully into a 3D space and making it a first-person shooter that really captured the Metroid feel was for me, so because I'm not a fan of first-person shooters. I don't really play much of any first-person shooters at all, but I played the heck out of Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3, and so I really like those, and particularly in Metroid Prime 1, in addition to all the things I love about Metroid, they added the aspect of you're scanning all the lore for the different the different story points, and it's a good way to, like, Metroid has always been good for that environmental storytelling, and that lore, all the optional lore, it just adds another layer to the story. And what I really liked is, like, every time you're going, like when you're invading and going through the space pirate bases, and you like scan the computers for the space pirates, and they're talking about Samus, and they're like, she's this she's like a scourge to them. She's like the hunter came and like decimated our troops, and we have to figure out how to stop this person who keeps coming in and basically wrecking our shit all the time. It gives you a feeling that, yeah, I'm a badass, I'm Samus, I'm coming for you guys. And yeah, that increases the the power fantasy. So yeah, so Metroid, I'd say Super Metroid and Metroid Prime 1 hold equal pedestals in my heart, I guess.
Good picks.
Yeah,
Those are good picks.
awesome.
And I agree with everything that you said about why you like Metroid. I agree. For me, one of the big things is the atmosphere. I don't think there's a series out there that gives off that same kind of vibe as Metroid, where like you play Super Metroid and it's just there's no story. There's nobody really talking to you. It's just atmosphere the whole time, and you do feel alone and whatnot. And like I think Super Metroid does that the best. But no, they all have this really great kind of space opera but sci-fi horror theme going on. It just feels really good. And I think the music's underrated. I think the music does a really good job of like setting the mood, and they're challenging. And that's what I love about a good game. It's challenging, but it's not so hard I want to tear my hair out.
Except for the first one.
Except for the first one, but that's only because like, Charles, you played it. Were you guys writing out maps and everything when you guys played it? Like, were you drawing out maps so you knew where to go?
Yeah, I mean, that it's the olden days. There's no quality of life features on the NES games. You gotta do it yourself. I mean, think about, there's no Famicom disk system on the NES, so a lot of these games are all passwords. You got to write down, like, when you want to save your game, you got to write down that like 24 character password. And if you screw up an O for a 0 or an L for a 1, that's a sad day.
Yeah. Well, we're fans of Mega Man, so we know all about the password systems.
No, we know the sadness.
But I think for my favorite one, and I'm going to do 2 also, but I'm going to agree with you about Prime 1. I think Prime 1 is something really, really special. It took a 2D platformer, like, side-scroller and turned it into a first-person shooter that was very unlike any first-person shooter out there. Like, I don't think any of them had that style of exploration, open-worldness to it. I think Turok is, like, the only one that I think of.
Yeah, from that era.
Yeah, from that era. And that was still before it. But, like, it's so good. And the music in Metroid Prime 1 gets stuck in my head. Like, I can hear that music. I can hear when you get, like, the new map and it, like, shows everything on there. It's in my brain. But My favorite one, I've got to go back to the first one I really, really loved, and that was Fusion. I think Fusion's amazing, and the big thing that pushes it over the edge for me is the SAX following you around. Those moments where you know you're underpowered and that thing's just coming to kill you and you've like, I've got to hide. I've just got to hide somewhere. It just slowly walks in looking for you. Like, I remember being in high school playing that game and being like a little scared. I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And also, it's one of the few Metroid games where I look at it, I'm like, oh, there's a good reason Samus lost all of her powers in the beginning of this game. Because all the other games, I feel like we're kind of fudging it a little on why she doesn't have the powers.
It's like a joke at this point. It's like the princess being kidnapped in Mario.
Well,
yeah.
Metroid Prime 1 also did a good job of that. You know, in the beginning of Metroid Prime 1, you have most of your powers, and then you have, you know, when you're escaping from that ship, you get knocked back and all your stuff gets malfunction. You get your suit malfunction and all your stuff gets knocked offline. So I always like, I mean, I know this, you're not supposed to think too hard about this, but it always seems like with Fusion and now Dread, how she's, you know, she almost died and they had to infuse her with Metroid DNA, but somehow when she takes her power suit off, she still looks just like a normal human female. She she hasn't been disfigured or anything. It's just it's her power suit gets affected, but her own body is fine. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
We could do an entire episode about the Metroid lore. We could go back to the Nintendo Power comic book.
Because it's funny to me, because like it's funny, like the more the games go on, the more like the Alien movies that it keeps being like.
Oh yeah,
it's got the same sort of feel, right? You know, stuck on a ship with one alien.
I'm pretty sure that was the whole inspiration for the first Metroid.
But then later on in the movie series, she gets like infused with the alien DNA.
Oh yeah,
because she gets cloned, and then like that's kind of what happened. You know,
no spoilers,
but like it's pretty.
She does get infused with Metroid DNA in Fusion, so. Which at this point I'm going to say that's
20
not
years old almost.
Yeah, it's not spoiler anymore. We're good.
Yeah, that's 20 years old. So you can't spoil it.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, King Kong falls off the building. Oh no.
I mean,
spoilers.
One of the bosses in Metroid is named Ridley, and that's named after Ridley Scott, the director of Alien. So
so like
they wear the influence on their sleeve there.
Yeah, and you know, it's pretty awesome. So I'm gonna say Dread's up there for me, and the other one I really enjoyed playing, you know, was Super Metroid, obviously.
I mean, I love Super Metroid also.
Yeah, because it was punishing in the idea that there was so much hidden stuff everywhere, and the hidden stuff, like, I'm not sure there's a good way to find it all without help. Like when I eventually found a few of the things I found, I was like, there's no way people could just like figure this out.
Literally, it's using the X-ray scope everywhere. It's power bombing everything and just hoping. Since we're right here, natural segue. We've all played Dread. You loved it. I loved it. Charles, did you love it?
I did love it. Yes.
Was it worth
spectacular return to form?
There we go. So was it worth the wait of
3 months?
Well,
or 4 months? Yeah.
Like, hold on. Yeah. It's a 20-year wait to the end of this story because it's literally the sequel to Fusion, and Fusion came out in the really early 2000s. So was it worth the 20-year wait? Was it worth the almost 20-year wait since they first announced that they were working on a Metroid Dread that got scrapped and we never heard about it until this year? So was it worth the wait? I say yeah. I mean, we have plenty of stuff in between that held us over.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the Prime series.
I mean, I wouldn't say I was waiting for a sequel to Metroid Fusion because they didn't like. I mean, I guess I don't remember hearing the rumors about Metroid Dread back in the day, so I never was expecting that. I thought Nintendo had kind of given up on Metroid just because, you know, they're like, well, this is niche. I mean, I was hopeful that they would come back to Metroid, so this was a pleasant surprise for me. This was like, you know, seeing that announcement at E3. It was like, you know, Christmas morning, you know, it's, you know, something I never imagined was going to happen. And, you know, cause I'm still waiting for Metroid Prime 4, you know,
we all are.
Yep. 4 years ago. So I wasn't expecting them, you know, a 2D Metroid to come out, you know, this year. So,
I mean,
yeah, it was definitely something maybe, you know, I would say just I was a pleasant surprise rather more than worth the wait, I would say.
I'm with you, because the only Metroid I've been waiting for is Metroid Prime 4. I do want to mention, and this is a previous episode, we'll put a link like up there to it. When they did Samus Returns, the remake, I actually talk about how back in the day, Nintendo, there were rumors of a game called Metroid Dread on the DS that got scrapped. And I'm like, oh, maybe Metroid Dread just ended up becoming Return of Samus, the remake. And sure enough, Return of Samus was basically them working to get to Dread. So, Nerdstrodamus predicting things without meaning to. I was right.
You're living up to your name.
Well, we did a whole episode about that, too, about how we predict things when we don't mean to. Yeah. It's only when we try that we're really wrong.
Right.
I'm going to ask real quick, what percentage did you guys end at? So, Lambo, what was your percentage at the end?
34%.
34%.
And I felt like I found a lot of stuff. I felt like I found a lot of stuff.
I finished at 82.
That's impressive. Yeah.
Charles, what was your percentage at the end? Do you remember?
So I don't remember exactly. Like when I finished the game, I think I was at somewhere around 80%. But then I did go back and 100% it just after I beat it once. I said, okay, you know, then I just went back and went and hunted down everything else. And that's when I for a couple of those Shine Spark puzzles, I did have to look them up because, you know, that's the one thing in Metroid Dread that they don't really make clear is what the conditions are for Shine Sparking. Like a lot of times, like when you're running and you can actually hold your speed even when you're jumping, when you're turning into a morph ball, when you're going through different transitions. I didn't think like you could hold your speed running, jumping off walls, turning into morph ball, coming out of morph ball, and you can still hold your speed. That was something that was not clear. But then when I saw on videos that people were doing that, I was like, wow, you can really do that?
Exactly. And the fact that you can Shine Spark as the ball.
Yeah. But yeah, it just reminds me because like in Super Metroid, there's all those moments where like the weird little creatures teach you how to like, here's how you like wall jump, and like if you, yeah, that's impossible.
It's not impossible. It's tricky. Like the wall jumping in Super Metroid is really tricky, and you know what?
Takes a lot of time to master.
I'm gonna give him credit. Wall jumping has become so much easier in these games, and thank God. Because I still can't, when I pick up Super Metroid, like I have to rewire my brain to be like, how do I wall jump in this game again? It doesn't feel like it's natural.
No.
What'd you guys think of the Emmy stuff? Because that was kind of them going back to Metroid Fusion, bringing back the whole SAX thing, but making it a more playable kind of, not as much cinematic, but like a straight up horror kind of runaway thing.
I personally, because like I said, I've been playing all the Resident Evil games. Yeah. And in the new Resident Evil games, they've been adding these like characters that kind of stick around and wander around and chase you around and stuff. And I feel like they're maybe still stealing off of Resident Evil. No, it's okay. I'm just kidding. No, but I really think those moments are like a lot of fun. Actually, like I actually started just enjoying when they would show up rather than dreading them. So it felt really good actually to. But it felt really good to like, I would get into those moments and I'm like, okay, I know what I got to do while I'm in here. I got to move quickly. I got to, bounce around. And I never felt like, actually I did feel a couple of times that I unfairly got beaten by one. And I know in those couple of moments, when it's like holding you down.
You can counter it.
Yeah, I did it once. I did it exactly one time in my playthrough.
I got good at it. It was 50% of the time I was able to hit
But it was different every time.
It was. But
and they would do different, each one would do different stuff. But it was good though.
I just picked it up. I like the Emmy moments. There were a couple that drove me crazy. The underwater one, when you didn't have the gravity suit and I'm moving super slow and it's just flying at me. I'm like, come on. And also the one that could like ping and just knew where you were if you moved. That one got me a little bit, but otherwise, I thought they were really cool because they did bring back a cool aspect from Fusion.
I think the only thing I'll say is that I wish they got harder to kill as they got higher up there.
Yeah,
because I feel like once I finally found a good spot to like really have a line of sight and shoot them.
Yeah,
that would have been cooler if there was something extra I had to do later on.
Yeah,
but it was also fun too. Yeah, what do you think, Charles?
Yeah, the Emmy sections were nice. I enjoyed them. I thought they were a good part of the game, and and they break up the action and give you another aspect of of doing. You've got a section where sometimes exploration is you can't really take your sweet time exploring things. You gotta run around and be quick about it and just try to make it through that part. And then it's very satisfying to get that Omega Blaster and then kill the Emmy in that section and then open it up. It's I like that aspect, and just it's another kind of puzzle solving aspect where you have to find your way through that zone and avoid Emmy, and the sound design is really great. I like that. That's that is it's whoever came up with that sound design for the Emmy is really deserves they deserve a sound design award for if there's anything in there.
So there is, and we're praising this game over and over, and I'm just gonna ask now: was there anything like you guys didn't like about it? Was there anything you would change? Like, just in the end, was there one thing you could nitpick about it? So Charles, I'll start with you. Anything you would change about the game, or anything you just weren't super happy about?
So and this is something that I've seen a lot of people talk about, is that it's interesting to me because I see some people who are new to Metroid saying, "Oh, I got lost really quickly. I couldn't figure things out." And then some people who have played Metroid a lot saying, "Wow, this is too linear. This is it keeps pushing me down the critical path, and I want to be able to explore more." And I guess that was my slight criticism, and not even, I mean, it does really clever tricks to kind of push you in the right direction without like making it obvious and making it like say you have to go this way. But a lot of times there are sections of the game where like conveniently the path you were on, like behind you there's some debris that falls and you can't go back, and those sections I felt, okay, you really don't want me to backtrack here. You really want me to keep going forward. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but come on, open it up a little bit. let me go back. You put all these breadcrumbs where I see that thing. I know when I get this power up, I'm coming back for this thing. I get the power up. Oh, you close the way behind me. I can't go back and get the thing until much later. Which that's. So but okay, you make me wait a little bit longer till I can go back and backtrack. That's fine, but there were just I feel like there are some aspects that they could have made it a little bit less constraining on the path that you're on. But I haven't done another playthrough where I go and do any sequence breaking. So I know, and people have said there's lots of things you can do in this game. So they pushed the critical path a little bit too much, but I think that's also, they made that decision consciously because they want to make this appealing to newer gamers and make sure that people who have not touched the Metroid franchise or even know what a Metroidvania is will pick this up and feel like they can make progress. So I accept that trade-off, even if it's not my personal preference.
Yeah, and I agree with what you said because, like I said, playing Super Metroid as a kid, I had no idea what I was doing. I was completely lost. But at the same time, while Dread does have that moment of linearity where it does push you and like blocks you off and whatnot, I don't think it's as bad as Fusion was. Fusion was straight up giving you waypoints and being like, you have to go here, you cannot go anywhere else, blah, blah, blah. So it was a nice trade-off, but I agree. I kind of miss just the pure openness of Super Metroid now, where it's like, just give me the map. Just give me the map and let me run around and play. So I can agree with that. Personally, my own criticism is, like, I don't want to say it's not a $60 game. That's not what I'm going to argue, but I will say I wish there was more. Like, I wish I could unlock in-game, like, some concept art or, some sketches or audio files or just something to unlock. It just feels very bare bones where I beat the game, I unlock a new difficulty, and that's it. There's nothing else to really see. And again, I have no problem with the game itself. It's worth every penny, but in this day and age, I feel like it needs a bit more in the package.
I think both Fusion and Zero Mission on the Game Boy Advance had the original Metroid as an unlockable. And it was funny because at the time, they were selling a Metroid, like an NES
That's right.
Metroid version
Yeah, the
as
NES
a
Classic.
Game Boy Advance. Yeah, the
Yeah.
NES Classic as a Game Boy Advance cart for like $30. This is at the same time Metroid Fusion is out. Like you can say like Metroid Fusion, I think it was $30 or $40.
Yeah.
NES Classic Metroid was $30. If you buy Fusion and beat it, you get Metroid for free. It's like like why would you buy this?
Yeah.
So we'll move on because here's another good segue. You talk about other M tanking. Metroid Dread did amazing sales-wise for a Metroid game.
For a Metroid game.
I think between the UK, the United States, and Japan,
It's over 1 million.
It broke records in all 3 areas.
Yeah, it's probably over 1 million copies sold in total.
But like, I mean, this is great.
This is the one thing I do like about Nintendo is that they release their quarterly financials to everyone. So like at the end of the next quarter, probably early next year, we'll be able to see their entire sales figures for Metroid Dread, and I'm sure it'll be over 1 million, and probably I hope lifetime it gets really high. I mean, just the fact that the Switch is such a popular system, the install base is so large, that just gives Metroid Dread a great advantage over all the previous Metroid entries. So yeah, I'm hopeful that this will show commercial success for Metroid, and that Nintendo will say, hey, let's fire up another one of those Metroid games.
Team Ninja did Other M, and they're like a Japanese company. Now, of course, they're more known for Dead or Alive, which is very different than Metroid, but
is it? Well, Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, Ninja Gaiden. Okay, Ninja Gaiden, which is yeah. But still, like, weird then that didn't take off as well. But yeah, no, I'm hoping.
Was there a ton of fan service in Other M?
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, fan service not in the jiggly way, but more in the story way.
Story way. Okay.
Sorry.
Right now. Just thought
This ain't Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball with Samus. That's not what you're. I hope that's not what you're thinking.
She could be the volleyball.
Oh, that would be fun. Actually. Oh, we didn't bring up Metroid Prime Pinball.
Or Hunters.
Well, I mean, I've played Hunters.
Yeah,
but
that's all good.
Yeah, that's fine. But so let's get down to what Nerdstrodamus does, and let's make predictions, and let's just ask. At the very end here, is Dread gonna win Game of the Year?
Do I get punished if I?
No, we're not gonna punish you. We're not gonna punish you.
Okay.
No pies in the face. No.
I think it's got better than a bad chance.
That's a really backhanded way of saying it'll lose, but not that hard.
But like I said, I think on the list, when I think about the games that have won in the past, it's got the pedigree behind it. The only game I think that you go up against it is Resident Evil, maybe Deathloop, because for the creativity side of things. But Dread has the fervent fan base.
It does.
Yeah.
But and here's my thing. I don't think it's gonna win because I'm gonna say, not because I don't think it deserves it. I think it does deserve it. It's definitely high up there for my games of the year. It's definitely high up there for games I've played in a while. But just because of how the Game Awards go, I think it's gonna be Resident Evil 8. I think Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil Village made a bigger impact. Yeah. They knew how to pander. They knew how to pander to people.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a DLC for The Witcher win Game of the Year once, so you never know.
These awards are rigged.
My heart says yes, but my head says probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the other thing is, I mean, I don't know how much innovation is a factor in Game of the Year awards, because I think Metroid Dread is an excellent game. It's kind of a really sharp refinement of an existing formula. It's not something that does something super new or different with the Metroid, the Metroid genre or Metroid series. It does everything I love about Metroid. It does it really well, and it adds a couple of new elements to the Metroid series, but they're not new elements for games in general, or for even Metroidvanias in general. So
I want it to win. I'm with you. Like my heart really wants it to win.
I'm feeling good about it.
You're feeling good about this? Well, we'll find out in a few weeks, or maybe by the time whoever's watching this, it's already happened. Yeah, and they're like, "You idiots! You don't know what you're talking about." But
because that's another like prediction.
Yeah,
I'm gonna suggest that I think the Prime series may have a little bit more like mainstream appeal. You know,
I would agree with you only because the Prime series was on the GameCube, which
was one of the least good selling.
Yeah, but still remembered very fondly.
And I think the Prime games are the best selling outside of all the others.
I believe you're right. Then Prime 3 was on the Wii, and the Prime Trilogy was on the Wii, which had a huge attachment rate.
So I'm going to say that this is going to pave the way. They're probably going to release Metroid Prime 4 in the next year. I bet you it's going to be even slightly more impactful and maybe even sell better.
Well, we'll have to wait.
Yeah, I know.
That's all we can do.
There's my big prediction.
I mean,
there's my game breaker.
I mean, we haven't seen anything of Metroid Prime 4. I'm skeptical they're going to make it next year. I mean, they've got Breath of the Wild 2 coming next year. I think they'll probably hold Metroid Prime 4 for the following. I mean, maybe Metroid Prime 4 will be on Switch 2 or Switch sequel, whatever this
Switch U.
Switch U. No, don't do that.
Yeah, let's call it the Switch U and confuse everybody. Sweet U.
One thing before I don't know how close we are to wrapping things up, but I did want to, like, one thing we didn't really talk about is the whole speed running aspect of Metroid. That's a big part of Metroid. That's not something I really enjoy. Like my favorite part of Metroid is really the exploration and finding secrets and puzzles and everything. But a lot of people are into speed running. I get anxiety when playing video, like when having any kind of time limit in video games. So I don't really like doing speed running.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm with Charles. I get anxiety when I've got time limits. I mean, at the end of any Metroid game, there's that time limit where it's like, oh, the planet or the ship's going to explode. Get to your ship. And I'm still panicking. Like, I know there's more than enough time. But I'm like, no, I got to hurry.
Yeah. On my first time I got to the final boss in Fusion, you have the clock going down before you get to the boss.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to kill the boss inside the time limit.
Yep.
And that was even worse.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it is really cool, and I look forward to seeing what people do with it, because I enjoy watching people speed run and seeing the tricks they come up with, but it ain't for me. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to savor my games.
Have fun.
Charles, it's been great having you here. Thanks for being here and talking Metroid with us. And I'll just ask, where can the people find you and your friends and what you do?
Well, yeah, thanks for having me on. I love talking about games I love, and Metroid is one of those games. But yeah, I do a little podcast called TransMissions. It's all about Transformers, so it's not really much video game talk, but all about Transformers, those transforming toy plastic robots, and all the associated media that goes with them. That is my other big love, is Transformers, in addition to video games. So yeah, we do a weekly show. We do 2 shows every week. One is all about Transformers toys and merchandise, and one is all about Transformers comics and media. So it's TransMissions and TransMissions Alt Mode. We also have a cool Transformers RPG podcast called Empire of Rust that is done by our awesome producer and editor Mike, and he has a gaming group that he takes on adventures in the world of Transformers, and all the player characters are Cybertronians who have different forms, and transforming is a big element of the role-playing game and combat and things, and it's a really cool story and podcast to listen to. So, lots of cool things to listen to on the Transmissions Podcast Network. You can find all those things at transmissionspodcast.com. You can also find me on Twitter at CP Shelton. I think it's right below there, right there.
There you go.
I do not tweet all that often, but if you tweet at me and ask me a question, I'll probably answer you. Social media has become a bit of a dark place these days, so I'm not on there all that often. If you want to hear more about me talking in general, TransMissions is probably the place you can listen to me rattle on about Transformers every week with my friends Jeremy and Daryl, and Dr. Pants is there occasionally as well. We've also got another Apollo is another friend of ours who is on frequently, and then Mike is there too. So And we, sometimes we have guests on. We sometimes talk to Transformers comic book artists, voice actors, and we do fun things.
For us in Nerdstrodamus, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. I'm Dr. Pants.
Lambo.
He was Charles. And we'll catch you all some other time.